Hello and welcome to the PreciseCricket podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Mason Crane. Mason, how are you?
Well, thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I know I was speaking to you in the summer about getting involved with Precise and things like that, and it's finally nice to have you on the podcast. So thank you for coming on. And obviously travelling from Southampton today, was it?
Yeah, not too far really, but coming back here, I guess.
It's like your second home at Arundel. So for those of you watching on YouTube, we're actually shooting this at Arundel Castle in the changing rooms, which you've been quite familiar with this summer, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it's basically our home ground for most of the summer. It was nice that we could have somewhere like this, I guess, and great facility here, so pretty accustomed to it now, but yeah, good memories generally.
So when obviously COVID came, obviously the Aegeus is a pretty impressive environment, and obviously England used it as their bubble. So I presume living in and around sort of Hampshire's ground, Southampton, Portsmouth way, did you travel daily to the ground here, or did they put you up in a hotel?
No, we had to travel daily here, yeah.
That adds a lot on, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It was basically to limit the risks of staying in a hotel. Obviously we had to stay in a hotel at times during the summer, but we basically tried to eliminate that risk as much as we could, and everyone was driving in their own car, which is also not ideal, couldn't hitch a lift. So
that petrol mileage from Hampshire must have
been, the mileage was
the expenses you were getting back.
Yeah, it was through the roof, but it was what we had to do because there's nowhere else to go.
Of course.
I guess that's when you have your nursery ground at the ground as well. Yeah. That was always going to happen.
So how did you find? Because I know you came back to training before everyone else. You were in the England 55-man squad, weren't you? Which is obviously fantastic. What was it like going from literally doing nothing, I presume, like everyone else for 4, 5, 6 weeks, to then coming back to training? Obviously, you used this as your main ground. What was it like having your own kit, your own coach to start with? Was it different? Because I think I might have seen a photo of you catching and you had the rubber gloves on. Was that a precaution you took, or were Hampshire and the ECB saying, so look, if you're coming back to train early, these are the steps you have to take in place?
Well, at the very start, when it was I first started in that 55-man squad, it was unbelievably individual, and I was basically given a box of balls at the very beginning and a lane at the Aegeus Bowl once every few days, and I could go in on my own. And
did you have your own stumps as well?
I didn't have my own stumps. I wasn't allowed to touch the stumps.
So what happens if you bowl a ball, stump falls up the ground or the base?
Yeah.
Were you allowed to? Who picked it up?
The physio was there to pick that up, and
so
he was
literally have like a server going.
And he was there to move the markers on the floor as well.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So you moved your run up, you stepped your run up out, however you do it, the tape measure or whatever.
But on the actual pitch, he would put down a disc that I would aim at. Yeah, and because Liam Dawson was the hour before me, so I'd stay in my car until he was in his car and he was off, and then I could go about coming in and. Basically anything that we might touch was wiped down and stuff, and the physio was obviously the constant, so he was touching all that sort of stuff, and it was bizarre to start with. So when it was like that, it was that's for me when COVID got a bit scary.
When you had when they were taking,
because I was realising how careful we were going to have to be. You know, it wasn't going to the supermarket with a mask on and washing your hands. It was a bit more than that, and.
Because I presume at the time as well, what would this be, April, May time? Or a bit later?
Maybe slightly later, yeah, probably June,
at the time
July.
We didn't know how severe COVID was. Obviously it's a massive pandemic, but obviously we know, obviously it's still very severe, but obviously have 6-7 months into a pandemic, you kind of realise how severe it is and what precautions you need to take. So you're saying it making it very real. How was it then when you came back into small group training? Was everyone taking the extra precaution? Because obviously, more from a mental standpoint, if you're taking all those precautions, you know how serious it is, but the average person on the street doesn't. Do you see what I mean? So Sally and Joe walking around Tesco's with a mask and some gloves wouldn't know the lengths that a professional sportsman like yourself and the ECB and everything would go to. So going back into small groups, with people who might not have been involved in the 55-man squad, were they as clued on as you would have been, or not really?
Yeah, I think we had several briefings and stuff, and when we started in small group training, it was small adjustments really that we made. It was nothing major, but things like obviously the weather was good, so we were always outside. We just changed a bit further apart, and fielding was individual. Weren't team
so
drills.
No to hide when you're fielding then?
No, no to hide. At the start, there were no team drills and stuff. Things like what you'd grill a batter for, normally hitting the ball back at you on the floor, suddenly became common practice and stuff like that. And just generally being used to not getting too close to people and having less bowlers in nets and stuff. But I think as time went on, that evolved, and you develop ways to get around having to be too close to people, and training sort of just adapts to it.
It's almost like second nature now, isn't it? I find like me when I walk into the shop or something, it's you just give people distance. Like subconsciously now, it's just ingrained into me, and it'd be interesting to see when it goes, however long that is, what actually happens. But moving on now, obviously you've been at Hampshire for a number of years now. You weren't always at Hampshire, were you? You were obviously you've been at Hampshire professional and on the academy, but you're actually from Sussex, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Not too far from here,
Not too far from Arrow. So how did getting to Hampshire transpire? Because a lot of people probably wouldn't know. You went to Larnton College, which is down the road. Worthing, is it you lived?
Yeah, Worthing, yeah.
I'm not going to tell everyone your address. But obviously you're at Hampshire and you've played most of your career there. How did that go about and why?
I was Sussex from the age of 9 or 10, and then up to about 14, and then Sussex do their junior age group cricket on a yearly trial, which I just thought was a thing, but when I got to Hampshire I realised that's not what everyone does, and so every year everyone trials again, and obviously under a different coach every year and stuff, and one year I was decided that I wasn't going to be needed, and that was my first year actually at Larnton College. I was under 14 then, and luckily for me, Raj Maru started at the same time. Obviously, he was Hampshire connection, and he basically said to me, "This isn't right. You should be in a county school, no doubt about that." So I went over to Hampshire and started training there pretty much straight away. But obviously having not been born there, don't go to school there, don't live there, I couldn't actually play for the first year I was there.
Really? Why is that? Is that a policy or just a commitment to travel there?
You need to. The other county needs to agree, and
really?
Sussex wouldn't agree to let me play for Hampshire the first year. But yeah, after that.
Surely you would think, right, as a county, if you've got a young lad who's 14, who's not good enough, technically not good enough to get into your pathway scheme or whatever it is, goes to Hampshire. Surely you'd think, actually, if Hampshire want to look at him and play him, surely we've missed the trick here. I would as a coach thinking, hang about it, we've missed something here. We've obviously, a coach hasn't missed him, or because there's so many people in a trial, isn't there?
Yeah.
Sometimes you might only have a 10-minute bat or a bowl. Surely alarm bells are going thinking, we've missed something here, no? Would you think that? Or?
Yeah, that did happen really. Yeah. Under 15s, there was a brief window where I was in both county squads, and I'd basically been told by Hampshire, we'd like to have you in our squad, but if you'd rather stay with Sussex where you've been, then that's fine. So the way Hampshire also do it is they train every other week.
Okay, sure.
So I was spending 1 week training with Hampshire. The next week I'd go to Hove, back to Hampshire. And I did that probably twice each in a January, and then made the decision ultimately that I thought Hampshire would be a better place for me to play. And at the time I was really enjoying it, and what I'd built up over the previous year was awesome, and the opportunities that I'd had to train with older players, especially at Hampshire. I was sort of training with guys 2 or 3 years older than me as well, so I saw that as an opportunity that I really wanted to pursue, and I guess I'm looking back, I'm really happy I chose that, and
I'm not surprised.
I enjoyed it there ever since.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because obviously when it comes to age group selection, and I've noticed this since I've coached more, the amount of players that potentially get missed or slip through the net I find it quite staggering really. So you were probably one of the lucky ones that obviously you had a coach at school that saw you, but think how many kids like you, probably as talented, who just slip through the net and go, cricket's not for me anymore, I'm going to play football or rugby. So it's tough because there is, I guess, different procedures in place, but I mean Sussex have missed out on a special talent, if I'm honest with you. But obviously you chose Hampshire, which is proven to be a very good decision. So you went to school at Larnton until I presume you're 18, and then moved to Southampton full time to play cricket from then?
Well, I'll just say just going back to your previous point, I think a big reason people get missed in county age cricket is this perception especially in county age cricket, that you have to do all three disciplines, which I just fundamentally disagree with at that age. I think if you look at me, I could always bowl, I couldn't always bat, and I couldn't always field. But looking back at it now, would you sacrifice a bit of someone's batting if they're going to bat from 9 downwards for them to be a better bowler? I think you absolutely would.
100%.
And I think something you see a lot now is guys, academy players and age group players that we see, it's actually a worrying amount of players we, as a professional, we look at and go, I don't know if he's a bowler who can bat or a batter who can bowl.
But they're just okay enough for both.
Would they get in the team as a bowler? No. Would they get in the team as a batter? No.
So right.
So what's the point? I'd rather be good enough at one that I'm in the side. Ultimately, if you're picked to bat in the top 4, I don't care if you can bowl at all. I don't need you to. Only 5 people need to bowl a game. So that's a big thing for me, and I think that's probably the reason that I was let go.
Interesting. I think that's such a good point. I do see that a lot. It's always like, you've got to bat. You should bowl because it's another string should bowl. And people neglect their batting, for instance, if you're a batter, to focus on their bowling, when actually they might be useless in bowling. And the same with the bowlers, but you've got to bat 8 and do that all-rounder role.
Yeah, well, only one person can do it. I've been told since I was 14, you can bat 8. I know I could bat 8 eventually, but I'm 23, I'm still not batting 8. And it's not a problem, because one day I may get there, and that would be great, but ultimately I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now had I sacrificed bowling.
So did you sacrifice your batting and fielding to work on your bowling more than the other disciplines, even when they said, look, we want you to work on your batting?
Definitely, I wouldn't say I sacrificed. I was never that good at that batting. I could always bat at a school and a club level.
Sure.
A county level, I'd always struggled. I had one wonderful year of opening the batting in Sussex under 11s. When I batted incredibly slowly.
So you didn't see you as an opener back then?
No, that was knocked on the head. But what I'd say, just because I couldn't do it then, doesn't mean I would never be able to, and it would develop. Sure. And I would say I'm a good fielder. Yeah. I've only really been a good fielder probably since I've been used to the pace of first team cricket, professional cricket, and then I sort of realised how I've improved and how important that is to me. And especially as T20 cricket becomes more of a force, my field is probably now more important to me than batting is in that format. Because ultimately, if I'm batting in a T20 game, we're in real trouble. But I'm going to field every game.
You're either coming in to get 5 up, not many, an over or 2 maybe at the end. Or you're 70%.
Yeah, but I'm fielding every game. Yeah. So that's really important to me, and that's something I think kids, I think, sometimes let go. Yes, some people are going to be around us. They're going to be great at it, and that's brilliant. You get one Ben Stokes a generation. But ultimately, if you can't get in the team as a batter on its own or a bowler on your own, you're going to struggle later on.
That's such a good point. I do think even as coaches, you neglect that, and players, you think, I need another string to my bow rather than work on your main skill. But going back to your main skill as a leg spinner, leg spin is the hardest thing to do in cricket, without a doubt. So how did that come about? And obviously, by the age of 20, 21, you played T20 cricket and Test cricket for England, which is an incredible achievement. You've played for New South Wales in the Australian first class system over there, which I don't think I know too many players that have ever done that in the history of it, which is an incredible achievement for, what were you, 20 at the time? No, maybe even 19?
I think I just turned 20, yeah.
Just turned 20 to play for New South Wales in a state game, as a Pommy they call him, as an Englishman, to play Test cricket, T20 cricket and do well for Hampshire by the age of 23, bowling leg spin, which is the hardest thing to do. You must have put some serious hours in to do that. Because leg spin is hard, without doubt. It's I think it's the hardest thing to do. Yeah,
it always intrigues me, just because everyone always says it's really hard. And it probably is.
Yeah, it's easy. But, just, pick the ball up and spin it out.
But for me, I would find it hard to do. Like for you, I'd say to you, batting's really hard. Like to bat how you bat, I'd go, that's really hard. It's all I've ever bowled. From when I first started playing cricket, when I was about 8. It's all I've ever bowled. So it's all I've ever really known. And again, I understand that it's difficult from a sense of without trying to, I probably bowl more bad balls than finger spinners or seamers and stuff, and I completely understand that. But for me, I guess that's what has come naturally to me. So that's all I've known. So that's all I know in bowling. That's all I know bowling to be. So.
It's like if you had to bowl seamers now, you'd be like, "Oh, this is time."
Yeah, this is hard work. How do they do it? How do they run in from here? Yeah, but I've kind of, because of that, I think has helped me to just, this is bowling. I've never used the fact that leg spin is difficult as an excuse. I don't think you ever should, because you failed before you've started there. You've already got the excuse, and it's opening the batting is challenging as well. But the moment an opener,
under 11s, there you go.
But the moment any opener, I think, starts moaning out how hard it is, you go, well, you're the writing's on the wall then, because you're putting yourself on the back foot. But like a lot of hours would have gone into it, and just the way I guess I am, I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to do better.
Because you're quite a fiery, competitive person, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like I played with you. This is going back many years ago, but I played a bit of club cricket with you at Worthing. What was it? Maybe like 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
When you were just coming through Hampshire's academy, and we actually played Sussex Academy, and you got fifer.
Yeah, I did.
I remember that.
I loved every minute. Well.
Yeah. and that was the first time I met you and played with you. And you were very competitive, very fiery, but there was that inner self belief that I think you're born with.
Yeah.
And I don't think too many professionals have it. I think a lot of them, when it gets tough, are happy with just sort of taking a step back. But I think you're the sort of person, when it gets tougher, you want to show people how good you are. Would you agree?
Yeah.
You said you want to be the best, you want to be competitive.
Yeah.
You're not going to give up.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you're born with that sort of mindset? Or do you reckon you've had to work on it, getting thrown into, moving essentially county at 14 is quite tough to do? Having rejection at 14 from Sussex, which is your home club.
Yeah.
Do you think that mental toughness was installed at an early age? Because to play state cricket at 20, test cricket at 21, there's got to be something inside you that a little bit different than other people.
Yeah, I think I was always like that, even when going back before I even realised that cricket was going to be a career for me. I was always football. I always wanted to win. I'd play wherever I had to play to win. If that was up front or in goal or right back.
Do you still play football now?
I wish I could, but we're not allowed to anymore.
You didn't tell me that.
So I always wanted to do whatever I can to win, and cricket was the same. When I started, I was always the one I wanted to win every game. I didn't care how good the opposition were or how good everyone said. I wanted to win the game, and I've sort of always taken that through. And like I said, the harder it is, the harder the opposition. However many years up I was playing men's cricket at 14 or whatever it was. I didn't care. I wanted to get the best player out, and I wanted to win the game. And I don't think that's changed. Whether you can learn that, you probably can learn elements of it. You've got to put yourself in a position to be able to learn that. So
get out of your comfort zone.
You've got to be happy with that. Yeah, you've got to be happy with. You'll be happy with people bigger than you having every single advantage and hanging in there, and you've got to be happy with getting slapped around for six by big guys and looking at it and going, "There's no way I can get a wicket here." You've got to be happy with that, and that is a trait, I think, which is difficult to learn if you don't have it. I think bowling leg spin, I always think is, you look at the characters that bowl leg spin, very similar to characters who bowl fast. Who bowl fast. You don't get nice, shy, fast bowlers. They can't afford to be. No. And same with leg spin. You have to be able to stay competitive all day if you have to. From the moment the game starts and the moment it ends, you have to be competitive the whole day. Yeah. Because, like you said, it's a difficult art, and you're going to bowl bad balls. Everything's stacked against you, so you have to be pretty comfortable with that.
And you did say just then you like getting good players out and you like getting the best players out. I did read earlier, you got Sangakkara out in your debut, your first class wicket, is that right?
That was right, yeah.
You got Khawaja out in Test wicket, and you got AB out, AB de Villiers out in T20. So there's three pretty good players.
And Machan in my first 50 over game.
Who?
And you.
Really?
Yeah.
The T20?
I got you on a 50 over game as well. It was.
You did at Long On. at the Ageas Bowl.
Yeah.
Try hit for 6.
He
I
did.
was on 93.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I wouldn't put myself in the same category as those three. In my mind, maybe. But those players, and I'm going to say it, De Villiers and Sangakkara will go, I believe, in the top 5 to top 6 players to ever bat playing cricket, ever. The things they do are phenomenal. One was in 4-day cricket, 5-day cricket, and one was in T20 cricket. You like getting good players out, but what changes how you bowl in each format? Because Test cricket, it's almost a war of attrition. First class cricket, a war of attrition. You've got to bowl all day, long spells, which are tiring. T20, probably not as mentally challenging, but physically very challenging. You know, if you're running around, you're going to be, what do they run? 7, 8, 9K, some players in the field, and then you've got to bowl 4 overs. What do you do differently in each format to bowl? And we'll start with 4-day cricket. 4-day cricket, for me, this is what you said. I watch spinners and seamers bowl in 4-day cricket, and I couldn't think of anything worse.
No.
Running up all day for 20 overs to not get any rewards.
Yeah.
For me, it's just mind-numbing. But at the same time, people love it.
They do. Yeah. Well,
and that's nothing against anyone, but you know what I mean.
I'm actually the same opinion.
Yeah.
How seamers can run in all day and they leave it alone and they're happy with it and they bowl maidens and stuff. Great, but I couldn't do it. And so I'm trying to get wickets when I'm bowling. I'm looking how am I going to get a wicket, and sometimes that is going to come from a string of good balls, and then they're going to make a mistake or whatever. But for me, obviously, I'm trying to work out a way how I can get them out, and it's a different way than T20. Whereas 4-day cricket, it's about I actually have to bowl a ball that is too good for the batsman, and how I reach that point varies. When I say I'm bowling a ball too good for the batsman, it's not like I'm going to try and bowl every ball to pitch outside leg and hit off, and hopefully one of them does it. That's not what I mean. I mean over a period of time, I've built pressure on the batsman, or I've shown them so many leg spinners, whatever, that in their mind they have to do something different, or this is what they're used to. They're used to the ball spinning this way at this pace, that then I can do something different, I can bowl variation that's going to spin the other way or bounce a bit more or something. But it happens over a much longer period of time. Do you like people going after you then when you bowl in 4-day cricket? Do you like people coming at you, or do you prefer them to sit back? Because leg spin's hard. Well, I keep saying it's hard. I'm picturing because I can't do it. Yeah. Obviously you say it's natural, but you're going to bowl more bad balls than a finger spinner, for instance. Do you find it easy when someone's coming at you, or do you find it harder because they can sit back and capitalise on maybe that cut ball, they can cut you for 4, or that mistake? I think that some players. So I bowled at Cook this year here. He's got 100 in that game. He's in his bunker, and so I'm trying to get him out of it. So I want him to come at me and play a different shot. There are other players their attack is actually better than the defence. So then I'm going, how can I make them play as many defensive shots as possible? Because they want to be driving, they want to be running, using their feet, they want to sweep. But how can I stop them doing that? And then I'm bowling at their weaker defence. And that will probably mean that then they look for a scoring shot and it's not there. Whereas a Cook, I'm going the other way. How can I make him try and play a drive? How can I cut off his clip to the leg side and then his cut? How can I cut that off and make him have to play me straight or do something else? Do you set fields then for the clip shot, as in would you have deep backward square and cut man out straight away? And so you know your bad ball's only going for 1? Yeah. And I think, but someone like Cook, he's not looking to hit me for 4 so much. He's looking for 1. So how can I cut down the 1? So I have the men out for the protection, but can I cut off his 1s in the area he wants to hit them? So then he has to hit a 1 somewhere else, and that gives me more chance to get a wicket. And that's where it's quite individual in that sense. But obviously it would take a long time. So I think I'd have bowled up 15 overs at Cook, and I probably went at 1.5, 2 and over. And it was a bit of a war of attrition in that sense. But then you also have to look at day 1. It's going to be tough to take a lot of wickets, but hang in there all day and hopefully the seamers can do the job. And then by the end, on day 4, a few footholes and it's spinning a lot. Do you find yourself under pressure though, day 4,
when someone's like, right, spinner's in it, you've got winners to game, they chuck you the ball and go, Mace, right, it's your time to step up. Do you enjoy that pressure?
Yeah, well, I do enjoy it.
I'm going to win this game.
Yeah,
for my team.
I enjoy it when I'm out there because I'm like, this is kind of what I'm here for. This is what I do. This is what I've always been doing.
Getting in the battle, aren't you?
Yeah, and then I'm thinking, right, how am I getting this guy out?
Would you have your plans before you stepped out there, or would you?
To pretty much all the batters, I'd have an idea of firstly where do they want to hit me, what's their go-to. To some batters, he's going to try and be back foot as much as he can. Okay, I can bowl a bit fuller maybe, maybe a bit quicker, mix up my pace a bit. To other people, he's going to sweep a lot. I'm just getting my head around it. Okay, what field am I going to have? How am I going to bowl to someone who's sweeping a lot? I'd have that in my mind, but it comes down. Day 4, if it's spinning a lot and there's rough and stuff, it kind of comes down to I'm just going to keep bowling well, and eventually I'm going to get a wicket because I'm going to keep bowling well. They can't keep these out all day.
Now, how would your pre-planning come in there? Because obviously you touched on you have your plans before you go out there. You try and cut their strengths down first, work out how they're looking to play you. But would you plan the night before? I know in county cricket you play a lot of people a lot of times in different formats, so you get a gauge quite quickly how someone's going to play. But say you've come across a new batter or someone's doing well that you haven't heard of, would you look at the footage from the analysis man, whatever it is, to then work out a plan or speak to people so you have that plan going into the game before? Or do you go, right, I've never seen you play, I'm going to bowl my best ball to you, I'm going to chuck out deep cover, deep square, I can have a slip, short leg and bowl him, see what happens? Yeah,
I think we had like a meeting before every game on every batsman, and on that I ask for do they sweep, what sweeps do they play, and then I'd ask for will they run at me, and where are their
would you go sweep
general
first,
scoring options. Wouldn't matter to me, I just want to know those things. I want to know if someone's going to run at me a lot. I want to know are they going to reverse or hard sweep, or where's that going to go, where's their one option basically as well. They're the things I want to know, and if there's someone, and like I said, there are a lot of guys that over time they actually develop a different way to play against you, so you can see the footage from the way they've played other spinners and stuff, but the way they actually bat against me individually may be different, but I would know that from having bowled at them.
So it's almost reworking them out again, because you've been around for a while now, so you burst onto the scene, obviously you got injured and you've come back. Are you finding people are playing you differently now to when you first came on, because they've been around for a while? Incredibly differently, yeah. So you're now having to change your game, I guess, to try and get them out, rather than them just playing how you were when you were 19, 20? Yeah,
and I think it's similar, if a young guy comes in their first few games, I'm bowling at them, I think the attitude straight away would be, I'm just going to bowl and good luck to you. Unless I know someone who knows them and they've said, they're a big sweeper, in which case you may do something. Or
do you ever get it right, where you say to someone who's a young lad coming in, how does your mate play? And they say, he's a really good sweeper. Yeah. And then you're bowling him and he doesn't sweep you at all.
Yeah.
He uses his feet.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
What are you about?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. But I mean, unless there's something glaring, it's just gone good. Good luck. And then as you go through the innings, you work out where you're looking to score and stuff. And but now people do definitely play me differently. There's no doubt.
And that's a challenge within itself, isn't it? Having to really change your game now. But then in T20, obviously, you've done extremely well over the last 4 or 5 years doing it. What's your mindset and how you're looking to bowl on your 24 balls you've got? Are you looking to attack and take wickets, or are you looking to go to run a ball?
There are certain times in a game where I bowl a ball and I'm trying to get them out of this ball. But T20, I think it's a dangerous way to go, is to think I'm going to get a wicket every ball. Yeah. Because then you're opening up your possibility of you could also go the distance. I think you can see sometimes when bowlers start searching for wickets, and it doesn't sit too well, because I just think you're sort of intentionally risking putting the team under pressure by going for too many. And everyone knows in T20, if you bowl dot balls, you'll get wickets afterwards, because that's just how it is. You can't afford too many dots. People have to play a huge shot to you. So when I look at T20 innings, I'm thinking I'm trying to go for as few runs as I can. But it's kind of the knowledge that if I bowl a few dot balls, or for a couple of overs just go for singles, there's got to be a big shot coming. So I'm prepared for that. And that's where my preparation would come in. So I'd go, right, a few dot balls at this batter. When he's under pressure, he does this. He goes to a slog sweep.
And that's where your pre-match work comes in. do they sweep? Do they run down a wicket?
Yeah.
I've got 2 dots on someone. Their go-to might be a reverse sweep.
Yeah. So now I'm bowling that ball, thinking he's going to reverse sweep this. I'm going to keep it away from that, or he's going to run at me this ball. And you can sort of, in T20, you can feel when something's about to happen.
Yeah.
And we always sit there on a balcony, and if someone's had a few dots, we always go, 6 or out.
Yeah. 6
or out. And it often is, and everyone can feel it. So when it gets to that point, then it's about knowing, right, this is what they do when they need a boundary. This is what they do.
And do you feel you've been successful in T20 and in white ball cricket not predominantly, but over the last short while because of the prep you've put in before? Or do you just think it's you thinking, I guess like a batter, well, I know he reverses me, I've got 3 dots on him, I might go quick into the hip because it's harder to hit behind point.
Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, I think it'd be more that than... I mean, the preparation definitely helps, and there are certain players that more obvious than you would imagine actually when you look at it would go to a certain shot when they need to. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, but I think you also get to that point by bowling well. You don't if you don't bowl well, you never get to a point where they need to smash you around. So I think generally as well, I think in T20 it's quite an easy thing to do to kind of get quick and flat and skid them in and hope that eventually they miss one if you keep them all in line, and that's not really what I do, because it's not what I do best. I spin the ball, and that's how I make people miss.
Because county cricket's hard, isn't it? You're playing 4-day cricket and then potentially a T20 game. Do you find, because obviously what you do, you try to spin the ball and bowl your best ball over and over, do you find that there is a difference that sometimes when it comes to a 4-day game, you've come off the back of a T20 or a 50-over game, that it takes you a while to get into it, and the same when it comes to you've come off the back of maybe a 4-day game, you're playing white ball cricket. Do you feel like sometimes they cross over too much?
Yeah, I think it makes the whole thing a bit more complicated, a bit harder. There's no doubt. I mean, the balls are different for a start, which is a big thing. But
what do you prefer bowling with? The Dukes in 4-day, or?
Well, I prefer bowling with whatever I'm bowling with at the time. So if I had a long stint with a Duke, I think this is great, I really like this, and then switch to Kookaburra straight away, and you go, it's different. Yeah. When you bowl with Kookaburra for a long time, you go, actually, no, I like this. And if you have enough time with it, it's fine, I find. But I think the hardest thing is where everyone says, just bowl your best ball, bowl your best. Well, actually, your best ball changes every day. Mm-hmm. So your best ball changes depending on the format. It depends, as you bowl a different length in each format. It depends on the wicket you're playing on.
I think that's so crucial.
So that's a hard thing. I don't run in every single day and aim at the same point, and I know if I hit that, I'll be okay, because on some wickets it won't do. And that's I think something that's not really understood widely is that actually it changes every day, and it's about how quickly actually you can find out what is my most probably effective is probably a better word. What's my most effective ball today?
Because you hear coaches and players and mainly batters say, just hit top of off, bowl your best ball. It's the same, just keep doing it. But they don't actually realise that it changes from wicket to wicket. You're playing Arundel, it's slow, it's going to spin, for instance. You might play the GS bowl on a fresh one, and it's not going to spin, and your lengths and lines are going to be different. Yeah. But people just bowl the same ball. But the same ball at Arundel to a GS is 2 completely different lengths, which people don't understand. Yeah, and
as a spinner, line as well.
Of course.
If the wicket's spinning a lot, if I were to land it on off stump, it'd probably be going too much a lot of the time. It needs to be run straighter than that. So, that changes, and how quickly you get to that point is, I think, when people say, you see experienced bowlers, I think that's what it is. It's how quickly you go, right, this is the ball today, and then you can go to it straight away.
And do you think the bowlers that are better and suited to those conditions, or the better bowlers, I'm just going to say in county cricket, are the ones that adapt quicker?
Yeah, potentially, yeah. I think they'd find out pretty quickly what's going to be their main ball today. It wouldn't take them too long to get there. They'd be there in the first over or two, and then they have the actual ability to stay there all day. That's the tough bit, yeah. Because people say hit the top of off, but actually to hit the top of off on every different given pitch, you have to land it in a completely different place.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't envy bowlers at all. I don't envy them at all. But you played Test cricket at a young age, 2021, and T20 cricket. obviously it's a huge honour playing international cricket, playing for England, obviously a dream that you wanted to do from a young child, and obviously congratulations for doing that at such a young age. So you played in the Ashes series, down under. Test debut was Sydney Test just after Christmas. What was that like?
Well,
what was the whole tour like? What was the experience like?
I mean, it was incredible, really, from my perspective. Like I said, I was 20 at the time, and I was basically the last time I'd been to Australia was the year before.
Was that when you played for New South Wales?
Yeah, so I'd gone to play grade cricket. I'd ended up with New South Wales for a bit.
Who did you play grade cricket for?
Gordon in Sydney.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, I had a great time. And then the next year I find myself there on an Ashes tour, and it was kind of surreal. It was a really great experience for me. That's as hard as it gets, right? So you always, growing up and stuff, you always think it will never get harder than Ashes. That's the everyone says that's the top, that's the pinnacle. So I remember thinking we had a few camps when we were under 19s at Loughborough, and we're facing all sorts on bowling machines and whatever. The heat's ramped up. It's really tough. And I remember thinking, God, it must be so hard in Test cricket. And so that was it. It's helped me so much since, because I've gone, well, I've dealt with it.
Can't get harder than this.
Can't get harder than that.
Was it physically in the heat, or was it like the mental?
Everything
just
around
taking everything in.
Everything around it. I found the whole thing was just on steroids. It was from the moment we landed. I can't explain how much Australians enjoy England losing. Right?
You're just getting abused.
Not even convinced they like Australia winning. They just want to see us lose. So, it's every day in the media, and you'd be in the hotels, and then there'd be a dodgy headline in the paper, and the paper was strategically placed around the hotel, places you were going to have to walk through. Stuff like the little stuff was just the whole time.
But psychologically and subconsciously, that makes a massive.
It does, and it's a little thing, and it's tough. I can't get around it. It was tough, but at the same time, it was just so enjoyable. I just thought, this is absolutely unreal. We're going from city to city, like Unreal Stadium, all the time, and then eventually I got to play in one at Sydney, which was really cool for me, having played there the year before for New South Wales.
Did you get any of your Gordon teammates come and watch?
I think quite a few came along, and
that's nice.
Yeah, it was great. I actually played with Pat Cummins in that game, and also played against him. So, it was crazy, and it was crazy hot. It was over 50 odd degrees, and it was that's the first time in my life that I'd ever bowled a spell of about 4 or 5 overs and thought, I can't carry on all day.
Wow.
But I thought, this is unreal. Bowling against, at the time, they were the best team in the world, and the best players, and it was just awesome, really. But how hard it was, I can't begin to stress, because the standard is so high. When you think of all the best players, and they play like a county cricket or something, you can tell how good they are, but they're not at full tilt. And you can tell
they dominate as well. You look on the scorecard, it's like overseas runs, overseas bowler wickets.
Yeah, and
in all conditions.
Yeah, and you can tell they're obviously unbelievable, but you think that last little 5%, which is them in an arena where they're absolutely have to be on all the time at their best. That's it. That's Steve Smith at his absolute, giving it everything best. And that's Warner, the same. That's where it is, and you think that's the sort of scenario I really want to be in.
Did you, when you played against those guys, you say Warner and Smith, did you play against them and think, I'm playing with the world's best cricketers, but those two are level above them, or not really? Was everyone sort of games? Because you're saying county cricket there, you'll play against someone, there's an overseas player, and they're head and shoulders above everyone else in their team and their squad runs, and they're not even at full tilt. When you then went to play Test cricket and be around that, I guess, the England bubble and those guys constantly, maybe not the Australians, but in the England team, was there people that you just saw, I'm in the best 15 players at the moment in the UK, but these guys are just level above everyone else in that squad?
It's a strange one. I always feel whatever team you play in, there's always the best player or two. Right, and you can always tell they're slightly better, and it doesn't change whatever level you're at. So, there'd be guys who, if they were to play Test cricket, they'd be in the team, and you'd go, they're not as good as whatever. You go, but they're still unbelievable players.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable players. But watching it, you go, yeah, but they're not quite as good as Root, not quite as good as Butler. You know, and so to see, for me, it was seeing the very top guys at their absolute best. That's the best bit. But every team you're playing, there's going to be a best player, and so therefore there's going to be in the nicest way possible, a weaker player that you can sort of you have to go at, because you think, well, as good as they are, as good as they are, like, this is our best chance. So, that's what did it for me. Just the standard, just absolute 1 to 11 of it was brilliant. But yeah, like, that's, like I said, as hard as it will get. So now I use that when it's tough. I go,
that will give you a lot of confidence now, presume.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could have gone better. I went for a lot of runs. I didn't take many wickets.
A 20-year-old playing Test cricket in 50-degree heat, first game.
Yeah.
You've got to look back now and go, geez, that's the hardest I'm going to play.
And I think that's as hard as it can be. It can't be harder than that, and potentially can't go worse than that. So, what said fear? Yeah, you know. So now whoever I play against, I'm not worried about this. You know, it doesn't probably don't let it get to me. I think I can do it. I'd have to figure out a way to be effective on this day at this player. You know, even if someone's playing me really well, I think, yeah, that's fine. But, you know, hang in there and it'll be okay, because it can't be tougher than that.
And that's such a good mindset to have, isn't it? You know, you've gone to your limits, and anything now is just never really going to be as hard as that. And just turning even like a negative in a game, for instance, like you said, someone playing you well into a positive. Right, they're playing me well, but it's not going to be like this forever. And turning that around. So, Ashes obviously unbelievable. And then you went to New Zealand, was that right?
Yeah, I had 8 days in New Zealand.
8 days in New Zealand, you got injured, was that right?
Yes, yeah,
Stress fracture.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got out for how long?
Well, the first time I was out for, I think,
2, haven't you? Is that right?
Yeah, I was the same one twice, but I essentially came back after 10 weeks, which was remarkable turnaround, really. I mean, looking back, shouldn't have been that quick, but we were under quite a lot of pressure, and at the time Liam Dawson had a broken finger, so the 50 over comp started. We didn't have a spinner.
Did you have pain in your back when you were bowling?
Not then.
How did you get diagnosed?
Oh, at the start. Oh yeah, no, I was in pretty
pain.
bad agony. Yeah, like tying my shoelaces was a problem.
Really?
It was. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, the thing was, I could bowl, but the moment pretty much I'd let go of the ball, slowing down was the real problem. And I remember speaking to Trevor Bayliss. We had a warm-up game in New Zealand, and I was trying to bowl at lunch and prove I was fit. And I said, look, I can probably bowl for you, but I couldn't go and stand at mid-off. If a ball came to me on the floor, I don't think I'd be able to pick it up. I'd have to fall on it.
That's not what you want to do.
And that's not what. Yeah, and I had to be honest, because I realised I could let everyone down. You know, I don't want to let everyone down. I don't want to lie and grit my teeth and get to the first test and just go down.
Bowl 3 overs and you're injured and you're done.
And basically put everyone under pressure. I didn't want to do that. So, like with most, you have to be honest with most injuries. Because some injuries just get the better of you. There are some things you can play through, and some things you can't. And so I had to go for scans and whatnot, and found myself coming home. So it was pretty bad. And then obviously, like I said, I came back probably too soon. But
so you came back, played, and then got injured again straight away, or did you not even come back?
Yeah, I came back and I managed 8 50 over games. So played the 50 over competition, and we won. So it was worth it in that sense. But yeah, basically it went again. And looking back now, I don't think it was particularly anyone's fault. It just looked like it was always going to happen again.
And how did you find that mentally then? Because obviously you're playing for England. You're really young. I mean, you're still young. You're only 23 now. And to have done what you've done by 23 is a remarkable achievement. But you're 21, played for England, in and around the squad. You get injured, 10 weeks out, you come back, you play 8 games, and then you're out for another period of time. How was that mentally to deal with?
Well, again, that's as hard as it'll get, right? I mean, it was in the January. I basically had the ultimate high of making a Test debut and playing at Sydney, and then by the end of June, I was facing 9 months out.
Wow.
And looking
at that was to this year, right?
And that was to that's to start of last year. So
2019.
Yeah. So then, I mean, looking at it like, from June I didn't bowl another ball until probably midway through January, maybe February, and that's off like 1-2 steps. So it was tough. I can't deny that wasn't particularly easy. That summer it was strange. There were a few of us out injured quite long term, so there were a few of us sort of in the same boat, and we were the rehab crew together, and that was cause we kind of helped each other through that. But it was pretty tough. But at the same time, that's sport. That's what you sign up for, in my opinion. No point feeling sorry for yourself. When I started playing this sport, I knew it was dangerous. I knew that at some point injuries may get me. I once got told by physio, if you go through your career without ever having an operation, you've had a great career.
Did you go under the knife for this? Didn't
go under the knife, luckily.
Touch wood you won't yet. But
touch wood I won't, but like that's just part of it, isn't it? That's what you sign up for. So, not easy, but.
And then was it tough coming back? Because being out for that long is tough. Did it feel it took you a while to get back to where you were?
Well, that was the bit really. It took a year. It took a whole year of cricket to get back into it. And again, something I think I never realised before was people who have had a long time out and you start playing again, how hard it is to actually engage in the game is beyond belief. Like actually thinking. So talking about the mindset earlier, actually getting in a position where you can do that is just impossible, because all you can think about is, I've got about 10 overs in this game. I've still got 4 more to go. God, how am I going to do that? And stuff like that. That's all you can think about. And then you go, right, I've got through that game. That's great. Okay, or a bit sore actually, but can I get through the next one? That's all you can think about. And 2019, I basically spent the whole year doing that.
Almost taking off day by day.
Yeah, my aim was basically to get to the end of the season.
In one piece.
And as tough as that is, that starts affecting preparation. You start not bowling as much in practice.
Bowling as much in games, then your rhythm's not as up.
Well, I think that's partly for me. I mean, looking back, the first time I came back from the injury, I didn't bowl at all in practice. I just saved every ball for games. And looking at it, it's a massive compliment that everyone knew I wasn't 100%, but they'd rather me play at 60%, and that's a big compliment.
Where do you reckon you were at 60% when you were playing?
Potentially, yeah.
Doing a job at 60%.
Potentially, and last year again, I was nowhere near. I mean, I knew it. There were times I would love to have been able to bowl quicker. I just couldn't trust my body to do it. And
how are you now? Do you feel you're?
But now it's absolutely fine. So this year has been absolutely great.
And COVID's come around, which is.
COVID's come, yeah. So I tore my side towards the end of last season.
Do you reckon you tore your side because you were worried about your back, or is it just a separate injury? Because they say that sportsmen, you look at footballers, they do their knee.
Yeah.
They have 6 months out. They come back. Then 2 weeks later, they've done their hamstring.
Well, I would say
it was a crossover.
I think it's because I had pretty much a year of not bowling, to then having a full summer of bowling. And one difficult thing is when you're a player, a coach sees you playing and they go, well, he's fine, he's playing. So then your injury the previous year is sort of forgotten, understandably as well. I can get how that's forgotten.
Sport moves on quickly, doesn't it?
Moves on quickly. So, once everyone's declared you fully fit, you're fully fit. So I had a whole season, having had a year off, and the season probably, for me, needed to end a few weeks earlier and I would have been fine. But, even then I tore my side. I had to rush back from that because we're middle of T20s, and again, they said, we're happy to have you at 60%, you're in at 60%. So, we're at a point there where in a warm-up, I was bowling like 4 or 5 balls max in a warm-up and saving the rest for the game.
Bowling like 30 balls a day and 24 of
at
them
max, yeah.
24 of them
which is tough, and looking at it, not ideal, but when it gets to crunch time in a tournament, that's what you have to do. Again, as harsh as it is, in my mind, that's again what I've signed up for. I've signed up to win games for Hampshire, and if it requires me going through pain, then I sort of have to do it.
It's remarkable. I just love your attitude with it. Every obstacle and hurdle there is, you seem to be smashing the way through it and thinking, right, it's not going to affect me. What's next? What next can I tick off? And I think for anyone listening that's young or playing cricket, it's not. You can almost dwell on things that have affected you, but anything that affects you, like, right, this affected me. Right, move on. Hasn't killed me. Move on.
Yeah.
And you just keep moving forward step by step, rather than going, oh, I got injured 2 years ago. Can I do this? Can I do that? You're like, right, this is what I've done. Right, I'm just going to crack on.
Yeah, yeah.
And that whole mental I think from what I'm getting, the whole mental aspect of you right now is sensational. You had your highs, it's as tough as it's going to be, and you can only look forward because you've almost gone through the hardest part of your career, and you're still only 23, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you think, if you play for another 10, 15 years, you've done all the hard bit, everything now you can enjoy it. Of course, it's not going to be like that, is it?
No.
But you know what I mean? You've gone, well,
yeah.
I was 21 playing an Ashes test in 50-degree heat. I had 6 months later, I was out for 9 months. It doesn't get much harder than that. You're at the all-time high, and then an all-time low, which is fantastic. But just keep moving forward, and moving forward. Where do you want to be in the next couple of years? Is my next question. Because obviously you've had all that great success behind you. You've just coming back. The last year, obviously COVID has affected the season for everyone. But where do you reckon? Where do you want to be? Is the question I asked. How quickly do you want to get back and play for England? Is that something that's you're pushing for, or is it I want to perform for Hampshire, and if I know I perform for Hampshire, I'll get picked for England?
Well,
it's a tough question.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything. Obviously, I want to play for England. I think that's having got there at 20, I know I'm good enough. So I know it's in there, and it's ultimately up to me to find it. I want to play for England as much as I can. I think that's anyone who starts on this journey, they want to play for England as much as possible, and along the way you may realise, all right, my best chance is in 50 over cricket, or my best chance is in Test cricket, and you kind of focus towards that. And but at the moment I'm still an opinion that I want to play every game for England at any point, and that's my goal still, basically until I'm told otherwise. And I'll keep trying to get better, and I'll keep pushing myself to see if I can get there. But I used to think I wanted to play for England before I was 25. That was a goal, but I sort of reset myself that goal coming back from injury. So a couple of years left in that. But I understand. I know that when I'm bowling at my best and I'm fully fit, I know I'm up there, and I can definitely get there. But it's up to me to do that enough that enough people think I'm worthy of selecting. But yeah, and
I'm sure they will. I mean, it's been a pleasure watching your career over the last 5-6 years. Obviously playing for England at such a young age and doing well, and obviously seeing you perform for Hampshire week in, week out is obviously nice. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
I wish you all the success and good luck for the winter, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thank you very much.
See you soon.